Hey, Flowmies, welcome to season 3 of the ITF Flowcast. We're so excited to have our guest today, James Smith. He's a window cleaner out of the Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas area and relatively new business owner. So he's got a great story, how he got started up. He went from one job where he was just very stress inducing to starting his own business. And he just takes us on the journey that he and his wife had in starting the business, going through all the challenges and even the challenges of hiring. I mean, he's got a really touching story, one that really helps to answer a lot of the questions about what if the worst case scenario happens when you start hiring, but also how he got through it. He's got a lot of tips about balancing the family and work life together and making sure that you don't cut out the important things. But most of all, he's just a really nice guy. And he's one of the winners of our inaugural Flowmie Awards. If you haven't heard the last episode of last season with the Flowmie Roundtable, you're going to want to listen to that because he's one of many who were nominated and who won. And this interview is going to really help you to see why. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks so much, and let's get into the interview. All right, Flowmies, thanks so much for joining us for another ITF Flowcast. So this week we have a good friend of mine, Mr. James Smith. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well, sir. And you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. And I thank you so much for taking the time to join us. How's it over there? I heard you, I think you said it was pretty cold right now, right?
It's chilly, but it's sunny and dry, so we're making it.
Oh, excellent. Very good. Well, I hope you're getting some office stuff done in the meantime, taking care of some
Oh
things.
yeah. Oh yeah. I've got 6 months of paperwork I got to catch up on.
Yeah, well, our busy season lasts about 3 months. So it's from like September or from October, ends after the holidays, and then January is typically slow, and that's
Yeah.
what we found.
Yeah.
Real slower. So I last week I only worked, I think 2 days, well, like one day and I just had one job. It was a hard water stain removal that I just had to
Okay.
do. And then this week, I think I'm only scheduled for 2 days. So
Okay.
I'm pretty happy. I'm getting a bunch of stuff done too. I'm getting back to people. Oh yeah, remember that call I was supposed to give you like 3 weeks ago? Hey, this is it. So good. I'm glad you're taking care of that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, hey, that's all. I just wanted to, let the Flowmies get to know you a little better. So first of all, how'd you get into window cleaning? What was your origin story into
Well,
that?
for me, window cleaning was an act of desperation. I've been in retail in various retail jobs, most recently for a major gas station chain, Quick Trip. I'm sure you're familiar with
Oh
them.
yeah, we got them down here.
Yeah. Okay. And I put in 7 years at Quick Trip, all overnights in an assistant manager position. So I worked overnights for 7 years. And for whatever reason, I could not get them to promote me. There was always an excuse. There was always something else I had to work on. And whenever I fixed that, then, something else after that. And that went on for 7 years. And I finally got to the point where, being on overnights, a lot of people will actually put on weight. I dropped weight on overnights. My lowest weight at Quick Trip was 105 pounds. And I'm not a small guy. I'm 5'9". I'm average height, and I dropped to about 105 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
We just decided, you know what, we got to do something else. So I tried a couple of things after leaving Quick Trip. I tried working for Frito-Lay, delivering chips, which was basically more of the same, just long, brutal hours, no air conditioning in the truck and 110-degree heat, that kind of stuff. Tried a few things here and there with a temp agency, and nothing quite clicked. But I had a long-standing offer from my brother, who does window and roof cleaning in Oregon, that if Quick Trip or whatever I was trying to work never worked out for me, that he would fly me out as a business expense and teach me window cleaning and help me decide if that was something that I wanted to do. If that was something I wanted to do, he would help me either set up my own business out here in Texas, or possibly set up a franchise under his business. So I finally took him up on that offer after about 3 months of just trying different things and nothing clicking. And we got out there, and after about day one, with a squeegee in my hand and some steel wool in my pocket, I was like, oh, this is it. I can do this. I can do this. So I spent that entire week up on roofs, up on ladders. I would go out with him on different estimates, met his foreman, met a bunch of his techs, and he poured more information into me than I could possibly have wrapped my head around at that time.
Wow.
But something clicked, and we got back, and a week or two later, I was up and running.
Wow. So your wife, Michelle, how is she feeling about this endeavor?
She is better at handling change than I am. I'm very much, this is the path we're going to follow. This is the rules that we're going to stay within. We're not going to deviate from that. That's very much routine. My hour, exactly 1 hour morning routine.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
And she was much more relaxed about that, much more like Pam in The Office. If we get to the hospital, we get to the hospital. And that was tremendously helpful in getting the business off the ground, where I would start to stress out about certain things, and she would help give me ground me, kind of give me a realistic picture of, okay, well, you can expect this, but you can't really expect this of yourself right now. Mm-hmm. But she was all for it from the beginning, and I would definitely, aside from the Flowmies, I would not be here today without her. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you like go in at 100%, or did you get like a part-time job and try to build it up slowly? What was your
No. We're just over 3 years in now, and I have not worked at anything else since we started.
Wow.
I quit Quick Trip cold turkey. I say that I quit Quick Trip, but I had a plan of a few things I wanted to try, and once those had kind of run out, it was kind of like, well, what else is there? And that's where window cleaning came in. So I jumped into it 100%. My first job was window cleaning for my in-laws. So, I think that's how a lot of us start, cleaning for our family. No backup, no safety net. We've had a couple of, lean, slow periods in the winter where I've kind of thought, maybe I need to do DoorDash or Instacart or something like that. But, the work has always appeared right down to the penny sometimes, right down to exactly what we need for our bills. The work has just been there.
Man, that I know a lot of people have those stories. I same way. I probably went into it a little sooner than I should, because I did have another job. I was working at a bank. Okay. And I was working, not quite full time. I think it was like 35 hours or something, and then I cut back to 30. And then as I was accumulating, because I started out with just commercial when I was in the beginning, I was only doing commercial. So as I would pick up accounts, it would offset work. So I would cut back at work to be able to do it. Okay. But with Arizona, we slow down in the summer. So July through September, it's like dead, right? And I just didn't know. I'm just assuming, it's like work. I got all this money. This money's going to always come. It's never going to stop, right? And I remember we had it died. So I didn't have any work. We're scrounging. And I remember our mortgage was up. Now, this tells you how old I am. Our mortgage was like $325. It was just a little mobile home on a piece of property, but we loved it. I mean, we really missed that little area, because it was just nature. It's in the desert. It was beautiful. Anyways, but we're trying to figure out how we're going to pay this, man. And I was just sweating bullets, because I had never been in this circumstance before. And I'm like you, I plan ahead. I have a system. I have so for this to deviate and not have any type of control over what's going to happen, I was freaking out. And then we get a call, and there was a community not too far from Tucson, just outside of Tucson. And they had just built this resort. And they needed someone to clean the clubhouse. And guess what? It was going to be $300, and it just right then. And I'm like, they're all, can you do it? I'm like, yeah, when can you do it? I can be there tomorrow. They're like, awesome. And I went, and that paid our mortgage, and wow. I think that's the power of window cleaning, is that you just need the one job, and sometimes you just need that. And of course, with faith, we prayed for it. We asked for help, and
absolutely
at that. So that's definitely, in the stream there. But that's awesome. So you're a lot braver than me, though. I couldn't go full, cold turkey. I had to still have a little something coming in when I did that.
That's why I said I was desperate. I was desperate. Yeah. I was absolutely desperate. And window cleaning is not without its peril. Window cleaning can be a dangerous job, but 3 years later, I'm at a healthy weight. I put on 50 pounds almost immediately.
Wow.
And just being out in the sun and working out in the clean open air, I'm almost never sick anymore. Whereas at Quick Trip, working with the public indoors under fluorescent lights, I was getting sick every couple of weeks.
Sure.
Like clockwork. I'd be sick for 2 weeks and then well for 2 weeks and then sick for another 2 weeks. So it was definitely meant for me.
Yeah. And then I'm sure stress had a lot to do with that as well, with your weight issues. You just probably wore that in your body and just ate away at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. Wow. And I think that's something that people, when they're afraid to start a business too. And I try to, when I talk to people, I'm like, it is stressful owning a business, but it's a different kind of stress.
It's a different kind of stress.
It's not the stress of having people on your, right behind you. You better do this. You got to do this, or else, we're going to fire you. We're going to, it's like you do have a degree of control. And when you learn how to manage that, and you understand what you have available, your tools and what you're capable of, then it's almost like a good stress. In other words, it's a motivation as opposed to like you're working out of fear,
Right.
So I think that's what's really cool about Windows and just on your business in general. It's the stress is there, but I feel like it's a healthy stress. Well, if you're a good business owner and if you're a good worker, if you do terrible work, you're going to always be chasing your tail on.
Right. That mentality, that work ethic is always going to follow you around no matter what you do.
Yep, absolutely. And so you said about 3 years now you've been doing it?
Yes. So September of 2018 is when we started. So we're about 3.5 years into it now. Almost.
Very cool. And what has your growth been like? So you're compared your first year to your last year that you just had.
2019, from 2018 to 2019 was a pretty slow growth year. There were a lot of nail biting moments. It was busy enough for us to kind of pick up on when our slow seasons were, when our busy seasons were. And then 2020, and that's when the pandemic happened. And I think a lot of us experienced the same thing, where we had just a couple really slow, dead months in March, April, when we were supposed to be flattening the curve, right?
Right.
And then from about that point on, it has just ramped up nonstop, to where I was having to turn down work. I was able to hire an employee this year because of that. Even our slow seasons last year, at least, our slow seasons were not as slow as they had been the year before. So I don't have any concrete numbers, I would say. I just know that I'm busy, my bills are being paid, and we're at the point where I can actually take on an employee and help provide for another family there.
So how would you compare? Now we're talking net, okay? We're not talking gross, but how would you compare your net to working at Quick Trip?
Well, there's a lot to that, especially when you add in healthcare, and all that Quick Trip kind of provided a lot of that for us as well. We had a doctor for us that was completely free for any employee. That doctor's salary came directly from Quick Trip, and we could go see that doctor anytime you want. So it's kind of hard. Wow. It's kind of hard to judge that, but I'm definitely making a lot more money working for myself. Even considering all the perks that I would get at Quick Trip, I'm definitely making a lot more money working for myself than I was at Quick Trip. After 7 years at Quick Trip, after 7 years of races, I'm still making more money now.
Yeah. And what would you say is, like, as far as the hours you spent at work? Now, of course, obviously business owner, there's stuff you don't get paid for. You're just doing behind the scenes, but comparatively, what would you say, guesstimate?
Less hours, for sure.
Less hours. Okay.
Less hours as a business owner. The amount of hours that I'm on the road commuting to and from jobs and estimates, and then the amount of hours that I'm spending at jobs and estimates, there's definitely fewer hours than I was spending at Quick Trip. But I'm making probably at times and a half, if not close to double what I was making at Quick Trip, working less hours.
Good. And that's what I like to hear, because owning a business, it should give you freedom in several different respects, and for me, I mean, it was no question night and day. I mean, even when I was when I was poor with a window cleaner, I was matching what I was making at the bank, and I was getting paid well for the time. This is early 2000s. I
Mm-hmm.
was making like $11 an hour, which,
Mm-hmm.
now doesn't sound like much, but back then, I mean, that was
Right.
a good pay,
Right.
and it was like immediate. I went from $11 an hour to around, $30 an hour, even including drive time,
Mm-hmm.
even including setup time and all
Right.
that stuff.
Right.
And so it was just an immediate. Now the problem is then you go through streaks where you don't get nothing. So
Exactly.
that was my biggest
Exactly.
thing, mountain to overcome, was learning to not view that $200 check that came in as
Exactly.
$200, but to view
Exactly.
it as 100, and then the other 100 goes in the bank for the times when the check doesn't come in. That took me probably good 12 years to learn.
Although you have to admit, though, it is fun to tell someone who's not in the know, yeah, that was a $240 house. That just took me an hour, and then see their
Mhm.
eyes bug out when they think $240 an hour. What?
Exactly.
Like, no, it's not quite how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. But again, too, it just takes one call. I remember another time, it was a summer and we were slow, and this is, I think, year 3, I think. So now I was a little more knowledgeable. I was a little more, I knew what I had, but,
Mm-hmm.
and I expected the summer to come. So we had
Right.
planned a little bit, but now we're running out of money, and I just hadn't
Right.
saved enough. And I remember we just got a call, and it was this lady who was like a construction cleanup person,
Mm-hmm.
and she says, "Hey, we got this one house. Can you just come and do windows? I hate doing windows. If you could do that, I'll pay you, what you need." So I went over there, I did the estimate, and she's like, "Yeah, it's fine." So I went ahead and cleaned. And she was really happy with my work. And it ended up being, it was this whole development that was coming in. And that was
Wow.
just that was like the test. I had no idea. I just thought it was a single job. And I ended up getting all of those houses. And the community's still there. Every time I pass by, my daughter's sick of me saying, "Hey, I cleaned all those windows." But yeah, and that carried us through that summer. I mean, because I hardly had any work that summer, and that's what put food on the table, was that one
Hmm.
call. And I had work for the entire, for 3 months, just off of that community. So
Wow. That's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool when stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're now year 3,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to talk about this because I think this is something that you went through the worst case scenario of hiring.
I did.
When
I did.
you first go from, "Hey, I'm working by myself, I've got control of everything, things are looking good," and now but I have a lot of work and I could probably hire, but I'm afraid to hire. What could possibly go wrong? So, could you please share with the Foamies a little bit about your experience, what happened,
Sure.
and just all the trauma that your business as a whole, both employer and
Yeah.
employee, had to go through?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have gone back and forth for a very long time about whether I wanted to actually hire anybody. I've known for a while, and Kevin Hargis has really helped me work through this. I've known for a while that I wanted to stay small. Just growing a huge multi-million-dollar corporation was not what I wanted. I wanted to stay small and be a good steward of what God has given me, be a good steward of the people working for me. So I kind of dragged my feet a little bit on the hiring process, actually getting somebody. I started looking at people to hire within my own church, people who had young men who had good reputations, people that I thought would have a good work ethic. I knew their parents and what they were being taught, and knew that I could trust them. And out of the 4 or 5 people that I tried out and had shadow me, there's this one guy that just stood out every single time. His name is Ben, for everybody to know that. And Ben was the only one out of all of them who kept bugging me every month. "Hey, when am I going to come work for you full time? When are you going to bring me on? When am I going to come work for you full time?" And it went on like that for like a year and a half. And I just kind of hemmed and hawed. I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. And then, 2021 happened, and here I am, maxed out on as much work that I can handle by myself, booked a month out, and would like to take more on. So August 1st was his first start date. I brought him on, and August, historically, I say historically, I know we've only been in business for 3 years, but
No,
based on the
that works,
past
man.
3 years, August was one of our slowest months. everybody, our typical client is a mom, because that's who gets the work, the work hired out to get the housework done. And August into September, moms are focused on getting their kids back to school, last ditch summer parties, that kind of stuff. So window cleaning is just not on the radar. And bringing Ben on in August, I assumed that I was going to take a hit, like I was going to slow down even more because of all the time that I'd have to spend in teaching him and training him and all that. And we actually doubled our sales for August from the previous year. So we went up from about a $3,000 a month in August to about a $7,000 a month in August for no reason, just because we could pump out 2 or 3 houses.
It was reason. Is that you're now being known, right? So
Right.
people
That's
are
part of it, yeah.
spending. You got the referrals going. You're getting a reputation. Right. So now people are looking to you, whereas they might have not before.
Right. So, and I've been very fortunate with my employee Ben, because he's one of those guys where he's just a natural. Like window cleaning just clicks. He takes pride in it. He stands back at the end of the job and is really just happy with how the windows looked. Yeah. Anytime I tell him to correct something, it's that one time and never again. He just fixes it.
That's awesome.
So, he didn't even really go through a real training period because he was just so good at it already.
Wow.
It was good enough. He was good enough that I was actually able to take a vacation in September and just be gone for a couple of weeks.
Sweet.
So that worked out really well for us. However, and I know this is what you were alluding to, very, very early in October, within about the first week of October, his 2-year-old son suddenly passed away. It was very, very unexpected. The poor little boy got West Nile virus that mutated into meningitis, and he just passed away in his sleep. So it was very sudden. And just to show you the quality of the employee that I have, Ben's first call after that happened, was to call me and apologize to me because he wasn't going to make it into work. Like, it was just amazing. I couldn't believe that was even on his radar after his son had passed away. So that really definitely left me in a bind, because I had, a month worth of work scheduled out and the work enough for 2 people scheduled out. And this was October. October is crazy, crazy busy for us. October, November, December is our busiest time of the year. So there was no way that I was going to be able to bring someone on, right in the middle of busy season and train them and not have it slow me way down. So first thing I did was to give him as much time off as he needed to grieve, to get counseling, and all that good stuff. I think he and I called each other at least once a day, pretty much that entire time, sometimes twice a day, just to talk. And your mind goes into dark places when a tragedy like that happens. And your best resource when tragedy happens is the people around you. So I had this big load of work to deal with, and talking to you about it and talking to some of the other Flowmies about it, I just came to the conclusion that people are going to understand. People are going to understand if I don't get to them. And if I don't get to them and they're going to get bent out of shape about it, well, that's not my customer then. If they're going to get bent out of shape over something like an issue like this, then that's not my customer. And out of all the work that I had lined up and had to reschedule and whatnot, only one person, out of all the work that I had lined up, only one person said, darn it, we really needed to get this done soon. And I was able to send them out to a colleague of mine out here a few miles north of me. So it worked out really well. Bringing Ben back on has been very interesting, because that's kind of a process that nobody knows how it's going to go. You have this tragedy happen. He has, even through all this, he has the desire to work. He just doesn't know if he's going to be able to get through it. Yeah. The counseling that he received was very helpful. The counsel was that take the time that you need to grieve, but getting back to work sooner rather than later would be better. You tend to, you tend to be in your own head too much when you sit around doing nothing.
Mhm.
So actually getting back to work and having his hands do something, having his mind do something, I really think helped. It was a very slow process. We started 1 day a week, just 1 day a week. I'm going to call you. It's going to be an easy job. It's going to be cake. I'll be outside with you the whole time. We're going to talk the whole time. It's going to be great. And then after a couple of weeks of that, okay, we're moving up to 2 days a week, and he's starting to do better. We've moved up to about 3 days a week. This is about Thanksgiving now. We've moved up to 3 days a week, and he's got 3 days a week of work where he's doing pretty good. He's got church on Sunday, which really helps. Then he's with me 3 days a week, and we're still, talking back and forth pretty much every day. And then 2 days before Thanksgiving, his dad passed away.
Mhm.
So that poor family has just had the punches just kept coming.
Yeah.
So again, I told him, you take whatever time off you need. This is, my business is not your problem. It's not your concern. I'm not going to be in a bind because my customers are going to understand. This is not something you need to worry about. And of course, he worried about it constantly because he's just that kind of person. But we did pretty much the same thing after his dad passed away, just gradually increasing the amount of work until he was, back to full strength and handling it. And that really, really seemed to help a lot. It was funny. I've known this man for 10 years, and he and I are good friends. And he seemed to be afraid that because all this was happening, I was going to hire somebody else and he was going to get fired. I don't know where that thought came from because I never led him to believe that. But
he's thinking as a businessman, and I think that's
thinking
what
as a
makes
businessman, right?
That's what makes him. That's what all the good employees. Because I was like that, when I worked for someone, I didn't think of myself as an employee. I thought of myself as an extension of the owner. So I was concerned with his stake in the business as if it were my own. And that's when you have a good worker, because I've had those, and when they think of the business as what is my role in helping the business succeed, as opposed to how much money can I get out of this business.
Right.
Those are the ones you keep, and those are the ones you do all you can to hang on to.
Sure. Right. I don't expect him to treat it like it's his baby, because it's not, and I can't hold him to that standard. This is my business, and he's never going to, fully treat it like I would. Mm-hmm. But man, he is so darn close to that. It's unbelievable. It's almost like I have a partner. So I really try to go out of my way to make him feel included, and just create this company culture of two people, that's something unusual. So we have a standing lunch date every Friday, whether it's in between a couple of jobs or after the jobs are over. The business buys us both lunch, and he and I sit down and talk about how the week went. What can we do better? What things can we change? What can we add? And stuff like that.
Nice. I like that.
We do that every week. We got to have our Christmas party a few weeks ago, which was a lot of fun. We went out to a really nice Mexican restaurant out here and went and drove around and looked at Christmas lights afterwards. So it really feels like it really feels like I have more of a partner than anything else. But the funny thing is, so my goal with an employee has been to basically to arm the employee with as much knowledge and skill and expertise as possible, so that if he decided he wanted to go start up his own business and do his own window cleaning business for his family, he could. I feel like I don't have competitors. I have colleagues. There's more than enough glass to go around, and the better we all are, the better we all look. And the funny thing is, he's got all this knowledge. He's very, very good at what he does. He has no desire to start his own business. He has zero desire to deal with the paperwork and the red tape and the back end of stuff. He just wants to put a water-fed pole on some glass and get to work. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I don't think I could have found anybody better than who I found. And it's going to make hiring the next person really, really hard, because I'm going to have high standards now.
Of course. But you know what? If you hire on character, just like what you did, if they can grow up in this culture,
Mm-hmm.
then that increases the odds that the new person is going to kind of fall in line. But that also sends you a message, if they're not working out, if they're
Right.
not fitting in, then you're like, maybe this isn't a good fit.
Right.
I remember I hired a guy, and now I was a little bit bigger. I had about 4 employees at this time, and he ended up staying with me for almost a full year, to his credit. But I didn't, until he left, I didn't realize that I had brought such kind of I hate to say cancer, because it wasn't like he was toxic. He just was very negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, because by this time I'm not with all the crews all the time. I'm saying crews out, and I was having 2-man crews at that time. And when I noticed it was, I had sent this guy and then my number 2, and he's very similar to your employee, just very business minded. In fact, he started his own business, so he left me earlier this year he had already started it. He had it for a couple of years, but it was always kind of little. And at the end of the summer, he just told me, I think I have enough work to live off of.
Wow.
And I wished him well, and thanked him for all his work. And it was a big hole to fill. But when he came back one time and told me, he says, "Man, I just feel really bad after this job." And I said, "Why? What happened?" I'm trying to figure out, thinking it's something wrong. But it turned out it was just, this guy he was negative, and he complained the entire job. And he complained about having to go do, because what it was is they were supposed to be, they were scheduled to work till 2. And then we got a call, and I said, "Hey, can you guys, since you're done at 2, can you just go take care of this other job?" And, my number 2 was like, yeah, absolutely, we'll do it. And the other guy was complaining, "Oh, we got to go over here. Oh, it's this house. Oh, I hate this. I hate that, And so I just realized, I'm like, man, I hadn't caught. I knew he was a negative person, but I didn't understand how he was affecting the culture of my business.
Wow.
And when we finally let him go, it was like someone opened the door and all this toxic air went out, and it was like,
wow,
everyone could breathe, and
wow.
that taught me a big lesson on, because he was very experienced, he was an experienced cleaner, but that showed me that character always will beat out experience. You can train someone to be a window cleaner. You can't always train someone to be a quality person, quality employee in particular.
Well, I mean, so many of these people nowadays, and I say these people meaning people around my age, millennials. So many of these kids they're coming out of homes where they're either not being taught a work ethic, or they're being taught a poor work ethic. So when you have them come into your business, I mean, you've hired them, sometimes you just have to completely break them, because this is what they're being taught in their own homes. So it's been really interesting seeing that. It's been really convicting to me as a father. No, my son is not going to be like this. My son is going to grow up with a good work ethic. He's going to learn how to work hard and earn bread by the sweat of his brow. He's going to learn how to do this. But those people are so few and so far between. They're just not out there anymore. And like you're saying, one bad apple ruins the whole bunch.
It does. Yeah. We had another young guy too. And I had actually posted about it in the ITF group, and he actually made a pretty good turnaround. I did end up having to still let him go because of something he did.
I remember that. Yeah.
But he's 18 years old, and he's telling me how to run my business.
Yeah.
And, at first you just let it go and you don't make a big deal about it. You say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do it this way. And then just over time, every single night he's calling me, telling me how I should rearrange the schedule, or telling me how I should do this, or I should do, and I'm just like, dude, you've been cleaning windows for 3 months. I've been doing this for 20 years. Please don't tell me how to run my business, and it finally got to where I had to have a heart to heart with them and say, look, either you're going to do it my way, or you're going to get fired, because, and I hated it. That's not my personality, and not at all.
No, not at all.
But you just, like you said, sometimes you have to break them to make them understand, I am the employer. you obviously do not understand the employee-employee relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
let me spell it out to you, which
Right.
again is not my personality. But once I did that, he really did a lot better. And I think it was just a matter of him needing to understand boundaries. And I don't think
Okay.
he had.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I don't think he had boundaries at home. I think he was allowed to speak to his parents like that. And
Interesting.
and
Wow.
I just don't think that they either didn't correct him or it was just the way it was. Things went in their house. And once he understood that these were the rules, then he kind of fell into the role that he was
Right.
assigned.
Right.
But no,
Huh.
it's half the time you're teaching people how to live, not just teaching people how to clean windows.
And that's
You're
so sad. That's
yeah.
just so sad that's falling on us.
I sat down with one of my work. This is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I taught him how to do a budget because
Hmm.
he was asking for raises, and I'm like, dude, what are you? I know you where you live. What are you? Why are you having money problems? You're a
Yeah.
single guy. You don't live in an expensive place.
Right.
What? And so we sat down and I taught him, look, this is your income. These are your bills. Look at how much I mean, he was spending like $100, at a dinner like every week. And
Whoa.
I'm like, dude, that's a special occasion. That's not every week. You don't
Yeah.
have the budget for this every week. And it kind of helped him to see where his money was going, because I don't think he ever did. I don't think he ever was taught to what a budget was. He
Hmm.
just, I got the money, I'm going to spend it. What happened to the money? I don't know. But
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough for sure.
Hmm.
So now you're kind of, you're established now as far as your business. So let's talk now a little bit about the family dynamic. So, you
Okay.
said Michelle's supportive. How do you guys make it work? To obviously you got to have the responsibility of the business, but I know family is super important to you. So how do you find that balance?
Um, I've I might be in the minority here, but I fight very, very, very hard against the hustle mentality. That mentality of I'm always advertising 24/7. I'm always advertising 24/7. I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to get work 24/7, no matter what, 7 days a week. And I think that is not only unhealthy, but I think that can be very toxic to a family dynamic. I think it can be toxic to a marriage. So we made the decision, and we both work for the company. Michelle does, my wife does a lot of the work that would normally fall to like a secretary. So a lot of reaching out to customers, getting people scheduled, doing estimates based on Google Maps, realtor pictures, all that stuff. So we both work. We're both working. But we made the decision very early on that we were going to work 5 days a week. That's it. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We're going to take Saturday off. Saturday's family day. Sunday is the day that we go to church and fellowship, and the rest of the day is Michelle's day off. She doesn't have to do anything. We set our business hours and we try very, very hard to stick to those. So our business hours are 9 to 6 Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 3 on Friday. And we're getting close to the point. I was talking to Phil Mack about this on ITF, and not too long ago. As a business owner, we can't turn off. We just can't. Where our brains are on 24/7. So you have to create these artificial constructs that give the illusion of being able to turn off. So this year we're going to switch to a business phone number. So right now it's just been my personal number. We're going to switch to a third phone, a third line, and that phone at 6 p.m. every day is going to get powered off and put in a drawer where I can't see it. We have our Facebook away messages set up so that it's going to automatically pop up after hours and say, "Hey, we're sorry we missed you. Leave us a detailed message on Facebook here, and we'll reach out to you tomorrow." So just creating those. It's almost like you're making it harder for the customer to get to you. Yes. And that's really what you want. You don't want your customer in your home, at your dinner table, on your phone, working with them while you're supposed to be focusing on your family.
Exactly.
And I really think that setting up those boundaries between you and the customer, it not only it's a very pleasant circle. It helps you with your family life. And because you have a more pleasant family life, because you're spending time with your wife and your son or your children, well, now you're in more of a better disposition to work with the customer. You're happier. You're not burnt out. You're actually able to give them your best, which is what we should be doing.
Absolutely.
So a lot of that, just saying no, which is very, very much not in my personality. I want to help people. I provide a service. I want to help people. I want to see the smile on their faces.
Yes.
When I've done a service for them. If I get a message at 10 o'clock at night that says, "Hey, here's some pictures of my windows," I'm just
first
itching.
instinct.
I'm itching to get up off the couch and go to the office and just because I want to know what those numbers are so I can send them to them. So just saying no is very difficult in the beginning, at least.
In the beginning.
But it's so healthy for you. It's okay to say no. And,
yeah,
when you come from a corporate structure, corporate tells you, oh, no, you don't ever say no. Customer's always right. You don't say no. These are our policies. You're going to do it. And as a business owner, we can kind of turn that on its head and make it work for us. We can say, no, I'm going to tell you no right now, but it's better for you because it's better for me. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you said that because for the longest time, now, and for most of the time, it didn't matter for us because I didn't have a lot of customers. I mean, for the first 10 years of my business, it was a side thing. I didn't get so many calls that it really disturbed people. And most of my clients are older customers, so they're not calling at 8 o'clock at night. It's just, it goes against their ethic anyways, So for the longest time, it did not make a difference. But as we got busier and as the business grew, and like you said, pretty soon, it's 8 o'clock and phone rings. You look at it. Oh, it's a customer. Should I answer it? Oh, but it's my favorite customer. I love her. She's so sweet. Should I just take it? Or they leave a message, or you get an email. It's 10 o'clock at night. And you're tempted to reply. And so we got Grasshopper, which is a digital or virtual line, and we just transferred that number, which was my cell phone, like you said, to now this virtual number. So now, because the people who work in our office, they don't live here in Tucson, they're all out. So whoever is working, Grasshopper whoever calls that number, it transfers to whoever's working. And then when it's automatically 5 o'clock, phone, voice message comes on automatic. We don't have to turn nothing. It just automatically switches on. You've reached us after hours. Please leave a message. As soon as we open in the morning, we'll give you a call. That's it. And we also get texts on it. And it's so funny. Like you say, I use the same way. I'd get a text or an email and I'm like, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm like, oh, I got to check it. Now I hate that. I can't even stand it. I see it. I'm like, oh, I'm leaving that till Monday. I'm not even looking at it, and so it's like my whole disposition now has changed because you see the value in having those clear delineations between work time and family time and in free time and thinking. I value so much more just time to meditate and think and because you need to kind of get that like I think of it as like with the RO, you empty out your water to kind of cleanse it. That's kind of what I'm doing with my brain when I have the time. And sometimes it's with running, sometimes it's just time by myself, whatever. I have a bunch of different ways, but I just need that time to kind of allow all of the toxic stuff to flow out, and then I can reset, and now I'm ready to handle the day, but if you're always on, like you said, you never get that opportunity to cleanse, and to reset. So I love that advice.
Yeah. And you're not going to be on your deathbed going, man, if I'd only done that 7,000 square foot house, man, I really wish I had just a few hours. I wish I had done that. You're not going to be on your deathbed thinking that. You're going to be on your deathbed thinking, why didn't I spend more time with my kids? Why didn't I spend more time with my wife? So rather than have that regret, I want to take advantage of it now.
Yeah. If only I had let the customer know the price on Sunday night instead of Monday morning. Oh, I would have changed my life, right?
Changed.
Yeah. Exactly. So tell me now, what has been your most effective way to find customers? Because obviously you're growing. So what is it? Is it just organic, natural growth, or are you? What's your strategies as far as marketing is concerned? Because I assume you have a small budget for marketing.
We have a very, very small budget for marketing. We have an $87 a month budget for marketing, which I know is an odd number, but I can explain that. And then, I pay a yearly fee for website hosting and the ownership of the URL, and that's about it. So our marketing has gone through a lot of evolution since we started. I am very much against door knocking. I'm just not that type of person. Especially out here in Texas, you're liable to get shot if you're on somebody's property without permission. Once you're on somebody's property and you're knocking and they're at their door, they're already putting up defenses because it's their castle and you're the intruder. Whether that's at the forefront of their minds or not.
And you've got a handful of flyers. They're like,
a handful of flyers. It immediately makes you the bad guy. So we decided pretty early on that we were going to go pretty much all digital with our marketing. I've tried door hangers where we would do 5 rounds, 3 across the street, 1 on either side after a job. I get nothing from that. Nothing. It's just money.
I'm the same way. Every convention I go to, they're talking, oh, you got to do 5 rounds. You got to do this. It's going to change your business. I'm like, yeah. I got zilch from it.
And I've got some pretty good flyers too. But anyway, and then I made the horrible classic blunder of signing up with Home Advisor for a year. And anybody who's listening to this, please, for the love of all that's good, stay away from Home Advisor.
Well, now I will say, just as a caveat, they have made changes. I have talked to some people who have been able to, in their opinion, be successful from it. Okay. I personally, I run from that. I had such a poor experience with Home Advisor.
I really think that it really depends on your location, because my brother in Oregon swears by it. He makes most of his money from Home Advisor.
But James, that's kind of all marketing. Every area, it's some things that, because like I talk to people like Luis Martinez, he's like, oh, you got to do Yelp. I dump like $900 a month in Yelp and I get like, $20,000 of work out of it. And I'm like, dude, here I could never get that from Yelp. I mean, I get some calls, but not enough to justify that much money, poured into it.
No, I knew enough about Yelp going into starting my own business to know to stay away from them and some of the shady practices that they reportedly have. Home Advisor did not work for me, namely because, they didn't make it clear to me up front, but when there's a lead, your number goes out along with 4 or 5 other guys. They all get the call. So it's whoever gets the call first. Customer typically doesn't know that they're going to get 4 or 5 calls. So I've been cussed out. Why are you calling me? Why is everybody calling me about this? I didn't need anybody to call, that kind of thing. And then, what is it, Jersey? Josh Cronin. It's a race to the bottom. You step over dollars to make pennies.
Yes.
And that's absolutely true. So I got away from them as fast as I could. Tried a couple different things. We tried
just real quick before you go on. So what this is, and I've talked about it before in other podcasts, it's the sunk cost theory. So you've put money into this form of advertising. So you feel if you don't close on this deal, you've lost that money. But in reality, what you're doing is you're taking a less profitable job just to say you've made money on this marketing that you've invested money in. And it's so twisted. And so many people trip up on that. So I'm sorry, go ahead, talk about it.
And if I do that, it hurts you. It hurts Feba and Sarah, because now I make the whole industry look cheap and they're not going to get the jobs that they need, because here I am taking a huge, massive cut. Even though I'm going to be run out of town within a year or so, I'm going to go out of business. It's still hurting the whole industry.
That's when you get the people who say, oh, but this guy did it for $50. And that's what it is. It's usually either some deal or like you said, they're just cutting this deal because they got to get the job and they're taking loss. And then what happens? Well, now the whole market goes down, for everybody. Right. Yeah.
So we tried a few other things. We tried Google Ads. I got 1 click from that in a month, and it just didn't seem like, I think I probably just didn't have enough of a budget.
You've got to work it. You've got to work and you've got to invest in money.
And I just didn't have that. We tried Facebook ads for the paid ads for a few months. And again, it just seemed like I was getting more attention on my ads, but not really converting anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't seem to be a good way to go. But then we stumbled on the mother lode for our area, and that is mom groups on Facebook. There's one specific group out here in the Fort Worth area that has 21,000 members in it. And that's where our marketing budget goes. It's $87 a month for us to be in that group and be able to advertise. We can advertise as much as we want. Michelle can make a post on there anytime she wants. She can tag us. She can respond to comments, people looking for window cleaners. And we've built up. So that's where our business started, was with this group. We found other mom groups in the cities around us. And it's just snowballed. It's snowballed from there, because now if someone makes a post in there, hey, who do we go to for window cleaning? We've got 10, 15 other women saying, oh, you've got to call James and Michelle with Lone Star Glass and Gutter. They were just out. They're amazing. And at this point, we almost don't have to advertise in that group now.
Mm-hmm.
Between August and December, we made one post in that group because we were so busy. We couldn't actually advertise and get more work in. So Facebook has really, really been a godsend for us as far as pulling in business. I found some very interesting numbers. Women look for businesses on Facebook. Men look for businesses on Google. So anytime I get a Google hit, I know it's going to be a guy. 9 times out of 10 it is. And I know 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to get that job, because typically guys say, $300 for window cleaning? I could do that with a bottle of Windex and some paper towels. Whereas on Facebook with women are looking for someone that their friends trust. They're going to go talk to their closest girlfriends. They're going to say, who have you had in your home that you trust? Oh, James is great. James is not going to steal your stuff. He's not going to take money and run. He's not going to take money until he leaves for the day, that kind of thing. So it's more of that community aspect of Facebook really lends your business some legitimacy when you're recommended by those people. We tried a couple other things. We did for about a year and a half. I had a standing offer to where I told people, if you like our Facebook page, we'll give you a 5% discount. 5% is nothing to me, but it still makes them feel like, oh,
did you got traffic on that? Because I've tried different stuff like that, and it didn't work.
We got 1,200 likes in about a year.
Wow.
So it really, really helped us. And I don't care about likes, but I think what the likes do is it gives your business this air of legitimacy. Like, this is a real business.
Absolutely.
There's real interaction there. Same thing for Instagram. I don't get any business from Instagram, but when people research us and they see this long history of posts, they see, oh, this is a real business.
Absolutely.
They're here for the long haul kind of thing.
See, and that's, I'm glad you said that too, because that's my biggest philosophy. What I hear a lot about with both Facebook posts, not the ads, but just posts and Instagram posts, is I get a lot of, I post on there and I don't get no jobs from it. Why am I going to invest time? And I'm like, no, it's not about posting and getting a call. It's about, one, like you said, establishing legitimacy, right? This is a long-standing company. Look at how many posts they have. Look how long they've done it. But two, and this is most important, is we stay in front of our customers' eyes. So we try to get our customers to follow us, or like realtors, clients, potential clients, friends of clients, those types of things. And then that way, because we post every single day, I have a young lady she's our social media manager. Every day there's at least one post. I post as well, but I kind of do it more when I have the reason to do it, or something strikes me, or I have a message I want to get out. But every day I know she is going to post at least one thing. That way, every day, if they're happen to check the internet on that day, it's going to come up on their feed. And what that does, and this happens a lot, I'll show up on a job and the person will be, oh, you're the Gabe, because they're used to seeing me all day, and they're seeing either us or my business. And it's almost like they don't, it's like I'm in behind the scenes in this, wood paneled office and I never come out. And then when they see me out in the field, they're like, oh, wow, it's gay, but it's because they feel almost like they know me.
Right.
They feel like,
yes,
because
it's that personal connection. That's what people want.
And
they don't want to give they don't want to give their money to a faceless corporation. They don't want to give their money to some franchisee that's going to underpay and undertrain his workers. Not mentioning any franchise names, but we all know who I'm talking about. Yeah. They want to give their money to you because they know that you're going to turn around and put food on your table for your family. They want to give it specifically to you.
And the same thing with the realtors. If they're going to recommend someone to their clients, who are they going to recommend? Someone who just they randomly pull out of the phone book, or this person who they've built a relationship with, and either by, because I try to message, comment on their comments as well, on their posts, and I'll share. I have like a GSWC supports realtors, so like if someone posts on their Instagram, showing on this week, I'll put it on my stories, and they appreciate that, So then when the time comes and they recommend, I'm going to be on the top of their mind, as far as doing that. The other thing too is I post reviews. I have like I have like 2 that are overdue. I've just been so busy, I haven't posted them. But I put the GSWC Google batch, and it's like about 8 or 9 different reviews. And I do that for the same reason. When they're searching, and if they're just looking at my post just to see if I'm legitimate, these pop up, and now it's reviews that are popping right in front of their face, So you have to have that type of strategy for social media for it to be effective. If you just expect I make a post and then I get a phone call, you're going to be disappointed. But it works as a whole, it's a whole different thing, and it's perfect for small businesses who, like you say, that you don't want to get huge, but you're trying to find that clientele who wants the personal touch, who wants to feel like there's a relationship established. Like you said, they trust you. You're not going to go in and steal them blind. You're not going to send some guy who you just hired last week, who's going to come into their house and they don't know who this guy is, That's who you reach when you focus on that, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really been the personal touch for us. And really, really, my wife is just absolutely amazing at crafting some of these posts. The way that she words things and the way that she writes these posts, people are getting, a little peek into our lives and seeing what we're doing and some of the fun things we're doing. She made a really long post for our business anniversary and posted some cute pictures of us and stuff like that, celebrating the business anniversary. And I think that post ended up with 60 likes and maybe 20 or 30 comments within about a day. And I was getting calls from that. So really all I do is I just show up and I smile and I do the work. It's a lot of it is my wife actually behind the scenes, talking to other women. And we do use the group. We honestly use the group for ourselves or our home life, looking for various venues around town, or asking, odd medical questions and stuff like that. It's investing in your community. It really is.
Yes, absolutely. And that's another awesome point, James, because so many people view it almost as transactional when you join these groups, and we get it with ITF, and we get it with the vendors, right? Who are the vendors who we support? They're not just the ones who post a commercial every couple weeks, right? Because we only allow one straight ad per month for our vendors in ITF, and we do have some where they will never comment on anything, they will never do support anything, but their ad will come in on clockwork every single week, and we reject, except for the one a month.
Right.
We don't support those guys. Right. The ones who we support are the vendors who are active, they comment, and those are the ones who the Flowmies are going to respond to, because now, like, for the same reason, they feel like, oh, I just had a chat with this vendor, the owner of this company, just last week on this particular topic. Now they're developing a rapport with their potential customers. And it's the same thing with these groups, like you said, using them, talking to, hey, what's a good place to go get, pizza on this side of town? I live over here. I don't really know, and starting the conversation. Right. Yeah. Now you're just another person as opposed to someone who's trying to sell them something.
Yeah. I think Sean with Tucker is a really good example of that.
Excellent.
I've seen Sean make posts where all it is how can I help you? What do you need to make your business successful? And Sean does it, I believe, just from a heart of wanting to help, not wanting to make a buck. That's the byproduct. That's the the fun profit from it. But he genuinely wants to help make us window cleaners more successful. Yeah, so I think that's a good example.
Yep. Very good. So I'm glad you're doing that. And like you said, our wives they bring stuff to our business that we can't even imagine here. Yeah. So you went dark on me here.
Yeah, well, I went out. Sorry, I hit the power strip button with my foot.
I thought, oh boy, James talking about good businesses and he didn't pay the electric bill. Went out. Awesome. Okay, so a couple other things I wanted to ask. So number one, what did you wish you could have known before you started your business? So like you're giving advice to this new guy who is going crazy at his other work. He's wanting to go cold turkey like you did, and he's thinking about starting a new window cleaning business. So what advice would you give to someone in that situation?
I've been asked that question a lot lately because it seems like there are more and more people wanting to start up their own window cleaning business. And I pretty much tell everybody, at least out here, pretty much tell everybody the same thing. Run from Home Advisor. Don't do Home Advisor. And really emphasize making time for your family. Because at the end of the day, if you lose your business, if you try out window cleaning and it sinks within 6 months, that's okay. You're going to survive. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt your pride. It's going to hurt your budget for a little while, but there's going to be something else. But you can't have your family sink, in 6 months. So I really emphasize that. Everything else, there's not anything really that I wish that I had known before starting the business, because then I wouldn't have the value of actually having gone through it. And I wouldn't have really learned. I would know it, but I wouldn't have really learned from it.
Good point.
So there's a lot of, there's been times where I've been on my knees praying. There've been times where I've broken down and cried. There've been entire weeks where it rained nonstop for a week. And I thought, what am I going to do? Yeah. And really all those experiences have kind of coalesced into bringing us where we are now. Nice. And somehow we're still here. I don't know how. I don't know how we're still here. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just being me and going out.
No, you are doing something special. You're providing good work, quality work, and you're dependable, and you're a good window cleaner. And I think we can't say that enough, that if you are a bad business person, whether it's quality or whether it's customer service or whether it's organization, you're going to struggle as a business owner. It's just, it doesn't mean that you won't. I know some really bad companies in my town that somehow they still are around. Right. We still keep getting their customers, but they still exist. So you can still continue on. But the bottom line is, if you got those things in a row, if you've got the quality, you've got the customer service where you actually care about your clients, and you show up and are dependable, you cannot help but grow. Right. And
it's a really weird feeling. I know you experience this too. It's a really weird feeling to know that I can show up to a job, and not that I would, but I can do a crappy job. Maybe I'm having an off day. Maybe I've got stomach flu or COVID or something. I don't know it. I could show up and I could do a terrible job, but my customer is still going to be happy and thank me, probably tip me, and then call me again in 6 months. It's a very strange feeling. It's a very strange feeling.
Well, that was my first year of residential. I gave such bad quality work to my first customers, but they liked me, right? They liked me. I had good customer service. And I tell this to people who are starting up their business too. There is something about a customer who knew you from the beginning, and if they like you, they want to be able. And I still, to this day, I'll get customers who have friends visiting when I'm there. Oh, Gabe cleaned my windows 20 years ago. I was one of his first customers. I used to tell all the neighbors about, and they have that pride. And so when you're first starting out, I say work it, tell them the story. Don't come in acting, pretending to be this professional who's, got way more skill than what you actually have, because they're going to see right through it. Just be honest with them and say, hey, yes, I just started my business. I'm learning as I go. If you'll just give me a chance, I'm going to do my best. And if I make mistakes, I'm going to fix them. But I promise you, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to work hard for you, and they know that. They give you the benefit of the doubt. And then as you get better, I mean, they're your biggest cheerleaders,
Yeah.
And they tell everybody about you. So
absolutely. Good. I was gonna say, I've gotten referrals from people after telling them, you know what, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm wasting your time, but your house is just more than I can handle right now. I really apologize. Here's a couple names you can call. And they love it. They love it because they're not used to contractors being forthright, that. And I've gotten referrals from them, even though I never even did any work for them. It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
No, it's very, very good. But don't think that's you're not doing anything, because that is something. And as time, people, it's rare and rare to have contractors, one, show up on time, do quality work. I mean, half the time the customers are complaining to me about the landscaper who didn't show up, or the guy who was doing the wall and it's halfway done and they haven't come back to finish it, and it was supposed to be done last week. And it's I mean, I can't, for my house I can't get someone to show up, or take my money. I have money. I'm like, I have money, I can pay you cash. I just need you to get here and do this work, and I can't. So you're someone who does. That just can't help but translate into growth and success. So that's awesome. Well, let's finish up this conversation. I have one more question for you. What are your goals for 2022? Where do you want to go?
Well, I have a few ideas. I have a friend who is a realtor for Keller Williams, and something he said has really stuck with me. He bases his income goal on what he wants to give back in his church and his community and whatnot.
Nice.
So some of my 2022 goals are, I want to give back. I want to be able to contribute more to my church. Feba and Sarah have helped me out so many times, and every time they've asked me for help, something has always popped up, and I've just not been able to help them. So one of my goals for this year is to get to a point where, with my employee and my scheduling and everything, if they ask for help, I can just drop everything and go drive and help them. Stuff like that. I want to give my employee, a full week paid vacation this year. I didn't tell him that I was going to do that. That's not in any contract.
Oh, well, now he knows. He's going to watch us, so you got
to. So stuff like that. I want to give back more to my community, and I want to give back, more to my family, more to my colleagues. And the only way I could do that, in some of those ways, not the only way, but a major way I can do that is by earning more money. And that's kind of what I want to base my goals on this year. We'll see if it works. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got the right idea. And that's always been my philosophy as well. If I'm not in it just to make money, if I wasn't just for the dollar signs, like you said, then you start sacrificing things that are important to you to earn it. But if you have the right motive for it, and you let it grow organically, and you do it because you get the money because of being a smart business person, not from being cutthroat or ruthless, or like you say, hustling at the expense of your health and your family. You just can't help but grow. I mean, I never intended my business to get where it's at. I never in a million years would have thought that. Honestly, the only reason why it's where it's at now is because we had our daughter, and I could not afford to provide for my family, because my wife really wanted to stay home. That was when we got married. That's one thing she said, was like, look, all I ask is that if we have a child, I want to be home and raise her, because that was something she didn't have. And so she wanted to be able to give it to her daughter. So the only way I could do that is if the business actually made more. And so it's funny how when you actually pay attention to your business, it grows. It had stayed the same for so long, and it had grown organically. But once I actually paid attention to it, it just like shot up. I mean, it just grew
Yeah.
so fast, you know, and
Right. Well, once you get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. Being comfortable is a good feeling, but it doesn't help your business grow.
No, and now it's about getting the business to work for me, and I view it as an asset, and I view it as something that I want to control the business. I don't want to work. I don't want to be alive to work at the business. I want the business I want to maintain it so it provides what we need, you know, for the time. I mean, I may not do this, you know, this works for us now. It may not work for us in the future.
Right.
And I'm okay. And I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. And I think the second I stop being okay with that, then I'm in trouble.
Right. Or the second that you let yourself be distracted away from what is really most important in this life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not to get, I know we're running out of time, but not to get too religious on everybody, but if you look at the book of Ecclesiastes, even as a purely historical text, here you have a king who had everything he wanted, decided to try every type of pleasure that he wanted, and at the end of it, he said it was all nothing to him, because he focused
striving
on
after the wind.
Striving after the wind. So I guess if I could say one thing that has been the most important about my window cleaning journey is that I have learned my family is the most important thing in this life. And money is just money. Money is just a means to an end. And
that's it.
Really, you know, it's the family.
Yep. Awesome. Well, James, it has been wonderful talking with you, man. I'm so glad that we got a chance, and hopefully we get to meet in person one of these days.
Yeah.
Either by me traveling your way and visiting with you and Feb and Sarah, or you heading out here and I got a taco dinner waiting for you if you ever travel down here, man. So.
I will hold you to
that. All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Flowmies, for listening in. We had a great time. You guys take care. And as always, flow on.